Why, hello everybody. Welcome to our weekly metaphysical chat show, Mystic Muse Online. So glad everybody could join us today as we start another week here on planet Earth and Earth changes and of course all the good things that you're into. My name is David Shepherd Love and welcome.
Welcome everyone, I'm Deborah Christie Love, and yes, it's been a big energy week, especially here in Camp Verde. We've been surrounded by fires, wildfires, and luckily we've had a little bit of rain yesterday, but still not quite out of the woods because these fires have been going for days, and the one that's closest to us has covered about 70 miles so far. So they're still working on it. It hasn't crossed the little river yet, so we're hoping it stays on that side. And they're working at that. So I think they're good at their job. They have a lot of fire here. So we're just hoping for the best and putting it out there for all the rain and favorable winds that we can have.
Well, we did have quite a bit of rain the last couple days, especially yesterday, so I was surprised that the fires are still only 5% contained around us. I'm sure a lot of that is up in the forested regions, and those can be rather stubborn even if you do get a little bit of rain. That's not going to extinguish a big hot fire, but hopefully it will slow it down and give the firefighters a little bit of an edge. Experiencing a couple-year drought here in sunny Arizona, so kind of goes with the territory. Mother Nature knows what she's doing, but when you take the forest and chop them down as much as they have throughout the planet, it does greatly affect the weather systems, which are self-correcting and self-maintaining, at least until man gets in there and chop them up, and then everything goes upside down. So actually the forests are doing better than they were, say, 20 years ago. If you look at Google Maps, a lot of them have been replanted, but we're talking about small forests as opposed to forests that have been there hundreds or even thousands of years. So we're doing the best we can, but Mother Nature is also doing the best she can. It's not an easy battle given the torment we've put her through over the last century or so.
And we're lucky here because there's so much protected forest land around us. Arizona is very blessed that way. There's just a lot of protected lands, so they're closing most of those right now around us because it's not safe to camp there anymore right at the moment. But hopefully all will return to normal soon. Hoping for the best and putting it out there. But yes, energetically, that's the biggest thing around here. But we've had a beautiful full moon the last couple nights. It has been just beautiful. We watched it actually on the 23rd. We had a better view than last night, although last night we had a quick view of it last night as well. It came out from a rather big cloud, but it was absolutely gorgeous. And that is the last supermoon of this year, where it is close and looks so large in our atmosphere, but it will still be full, of course, every month. It just probably won't look as close or look quite as big. And of course, with all that new moon or full moon energy, we are releasing a lot of old energy, a lot of things that we need to release from past or past lives, and it is all coming up for, whether it's being triggered or what it comes out as. Sometimes we get released a lot in our sleep. We work on it with dreams. We also can burn off some karma through hot flashes. I think a lot of people have been having those in the last couple of years. So a lot of ways that we're dealing with that. We have a lot of symptoms going on. Appetite changes. I've noticed my stomach a little bit different lately. Just odd little bouts of feeling, don't think I should eat anything right now. Feeling a little strange. And then it goes away very quickly, but it's just one of those symptoms when we have that high energy coming in.
Well, the energy has been off the charts here. We are definitely in the beginning of the Aquarian age right now, at a time that was prophesized that there'd be a lot of earth changes, and primarily what that means is that the 5D energy around us, also called heaven or the etheric energy, It goes by a lot of different names, but primarily it's this psychic energy, this part that makes us spiritual beings. All of this is increasing right now as the great astral belt is sweeping through this part of the region, bringing light and enlightenment to all of life, especially well, in our case, since we're here, to us earthlings, and so we're getting power blast by this etheric energy as the prophecies are being fulfilled. The old is slowly but surely crumbling away, and I'm not even sure how slowly it is, given it's been here for eons of time, and now we're getting dramatic changes here on Earth as the veil thins between the 3D reality that we know and the 5D reality. So certainly we're going to feel a lot of effects with that. If you're an unawakened person or live in a low vibration, perhaps I was going to say you might feel it more, but the chances are that because you're living in more of a dense field, maybe you'll just be happier. I think it's us light workers that really feel the ascension energies more than anything. We're more sensitive, we're more subject to ascension symptoms, or whether it's lack of sleep, lack of focus, dizziness, a whole plethora of things that can happen to us. So doing the best we can, keep your diet, meditation, water intake, and always keep the love, love, love high.
Yeah, I think the very best advice I can say that has worked for me and works for everyone is try to raise your vibration, and the best way to do that is to work on controlling those thoughts. Work on that mind and what you're allowing into your mind field, and what thoughts that you're entertaining. We do have the option. We're kind of like a receiver, and those thoughts keep coming in, and they're magnetic, and they attract more like thoughts. So the moment we find one we're thinking about and realize this thought's making me feel not so good, we have the option to go, wait a minute, I don't need to think about that, and change that thought to something better. And when we catch ourselves and do that more and more, we start attracting more and more better thoughts, and we start feeling better from those better thoughts. And this is where we want to be. We want to be doing that consistently, and it gets easier and easier the more we do it. But that changes what we're attracting. That changes tomorrow for you. That changes today and tomorrow, and it attracts more and more of that light energy to you. You find when you get into that flow of the positive that things start working out better, things that you've been wanting to happen start happening, and you wonder what the change is. Well, the change is that you've started focusing on these positive things, and that makes all the difference. And what we experience is our own reality, and we can do that and change our own reality. Doesn't mean everyone around you is doing it, but when we do it, it makes it easier for others to do it around us, because we kind of lead by example when we do that. And people see you and think, well, this and this is going on, and why are they still happy? And so they kind of want what we have, and when they get in our energy field, it kind of entrainment happens, and that energy starts to shift into their field as well, and it becomes easier for them to feel more positive as well.
Well, I see we have at least one viewer there. We never know exactly how many is there, but our counter is saying one, so welcome to you, mystery guest. Feel free to let us know who you are, where you're from, and if you do have any questions or comments. This is a listener-supported show, and your comments and suggestions and questions are certainly always welcome, and are a real benefit to keep us flowing.
Just want to sound check again here. There we go. Good thing I did that.
In case you can't hear us, we turned up the volume. That's good.
There, I'm sure that's better. I think it's time for our card today.
Our energy reading.
Yeah, so glad to have someone here with us, and hopefully we have a few more. Of course, we always have a lot of people see the reruns during the next week, so that's always good.
So this is a card, whoever will tune in, and see, we've already got one flying out just for you, and this will be your energy reading for the week, because you have been guided to be here at this time. So all that's good. This is from the Wisdom of Avalon Oracle Cards by Colette Baron Reed. That's a nice deck. This happens to be one of my favorite decks. I don't have a lot of decks that I use for card readings, and this is one of the few that I do use on a regular basis, so
It
in
is
for a treat.
Yeah, it's a little bit older deck, but it's still one of my favorites as well. Was attracted to it when it was new, and perfect card for today. Look what we have. Birth and rebirth. Okay. Well, it's pretty self-explanatory, you know, with all the energy shifts, the full moon, the fires, the things going on in the world. This is really, you know, a new beginning for everyone right now. Sometimes it looks like upheaval. There's a lot of moving and turbulent things going on, just like the birthing pains that we have when we give birth. But we know that it's all has to happen. You know, you can't be pregnant forever. You have to have that child come out at some point. So we have these pangs and we have the birthing, and it's all wonderful. When we hold that baby, we know that it was all for a higher purpose, and that's what this is all about. We are going through so many changes, a little bit uncomfortable, but it's all for the best. And go with the flow. The best way to make that transition easier is to go with the flow. Be gentle on yourself. Listen to what your body wants, whether it's rest or certain foods or whatever that is. I say to stay grounded. Try to stay in nature if you can. Go out and connect with nature and stay grounded. And there's so many things you can do to make things a little bit better and stay centered and enjoy the benefits that are coming. Focus on that and not the pain and the chaos that you might see temporarily around you.
Yeah, I would say that's a good card for today, if not this decade, because the Earth is going through such big changes right now. This is the time of the new beginning, of the new birth, as it's called, and Mother Earth, being a very conscious being, is also going through birth at this time, and this is why we're going to see some disruptions in her energy fields through what might look like different things like earthquakes and tidal waves and volcanoes and the like. We did have her visit us at a few drumming circles ago, and she assures us that she's doing the best that she can to alleviate the pain and suffering that's caused by her transformation, her birthing pains, but doing the best she can, directing and releasing energy into less populated regions. She's a very compassionate and loving being. Just think of your favorite mother and then amp that up about 1,000-fold and you'll have Mother Earth. So she certainly cares about us, but this birthing process must take place, and not only for her but for us as well. As we move into the new paradigm shifts around us, become more spiritual beings, we're going to start dropping the old person that we are, a man or a woman, and dropping that person and being reborn into a more fully vibrating being. So there will be some birthing pangs as discussed. This is part of the prophecies, not only for big bodies like Mother Earth as mentioned, but for ourselves. So continue to energize yourself, love yourself the best that you can, and you know, where there's love and joy and happiness, then these things will, I don't know if they'll eliminate the pain and suffering of the birth pains, but at least it'll make them a lot more funner to deal with, and we'll understand what's going on. So, you know, just keep your meditation up throughout the week, and increase it every year as you become perhaps more comfortable with your spiritual growth. Maybe you want to amp it up a little bit. That, you know, change is the only thing that ever happens around us. So if we can keep in the field of change, we're going to be moving along with the ever cycles of change that are all around us.
Yeah, it's a wonderful card. I was kind of reminded to say too that the symbolism of birthing and having a baby often shows up in dreams, and I know for me it showed up in many dreams over the years, and it's always during a time when there's a lot of growth going on, some changes happening. And I questioned once in meditation, you know, what does this baby represent? Because sometimes the baby would just show up and you would know that you're responsible for it, and it'd kind of be like, okay, this is, what is this dream about? And I was told new life, your new creation of your new life. So this is what the baby stands for, and so you may find that you're dreaming, you're having dreams in the last while about a baby shows up in this dream, or someone's pregnant, or you're pregnant, or the baby just appears and you're responsible for it in some way, and that's very symbolic of creating your new life and the changes that are coming. So just to let you know, because sometimes we think, well, our dreams are just a little whacked out and we can't understand them all, but that's a very common symbolism, and I know that I've had it and I've heard it from other people as well.
Well, as regards to pregnancy, it's not a man or a woman type of phenomenon necessarily. That this is more of a spiritual pregnancy, a new awakening, a new being that's being born within inside of you. And back in it's been 20, 30 years ago now, I did a 30-day fast with nothing but juices, and along about day 20, I heard very strongly in my spirit, "You're pregnant." So that was quite a surprise for me, being a guy, but I also knew intuitively that this was a spiritual pregnant. I had gone through much spiritual development during those days of the fasting, and really that whole year had been full of that. So the fasting only brought out the impact of what was going on with me on a spiritual level. So there's different ways of being pregnant besides having a physical body in you that you're growing. It can also be a spiritual body in you that you're growing as well. So not limited to either male or female, but a wonderful birth of a new person inside of you as you grow into this strong energy called 5D energy, and become more connected with the psychic forces, the spiritual forces all around you.
Yeah, it's a wonderful symbolism, and very makes sense when you really look at it in those terms of new beginnings and new life and new events happening that we're creating, just like we create our children. It's like an artist, sometimes it's hard to part with your art because you feel like that's just like one of your creations. It's hard to let go of it sometimes because we get attached to it while we're doing it. It was so much fun to make. So yeah, it's kind of the same idea.
Well, I see our audience is being a little quiet today. If you are listening out there, you can introduce yourself with a question or comment. That would be great. Otherwise, we'll just keep rambling, and hopefully we bring some good stuff to this show. We've actually been doing this for over a year now.
We have, yeah.
And every Friday at 1 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, we're here, and we'll see where that goes. I've actually been directed to maybe shift it up a little bit, so we'll see where Mystic Muse Online takes us over the next several weeks.
Yeah, I just thought, I'll get some more inspiration through the card deck here, and I cut the cards and I got the fire fairy. And as we just talked about, fire it's quite a thing here in this area right now, but I'm sure it's not the only area. It has been dry a lot of places, and it's getting into that hot summer weather now. But fire is also very symbolic. Fire is action, and fire is passion, and fire is really taking your power back. And so in a lot of ways, Mother Earth is taking her power back, and we're taking our power back. I mean, right here in Arizona, there's so much going on. This is a state that's kind of under scrutiny right now with the audits for the last presidential election. There is just a lot of things going on here, and so it's really about getting passionate and taking our power back and making that change happen. We all want change to happen, but we also have to be part of that change. It comes from our spirit. It comes from our passion about things that matter to us, things that are important, and our freedom is very important. And I think that's one of the things that this fire symbolism is all about here in this state right now.
Well, passion certainly is a driving force behind us. Passion is what creates our manifestation world around us. If you want something in your life, you gotta not only want it, but you gotta want it a lot. You gotta put that emotional being that you are behind that. It's not just enough to say the words, but you also have to feel the words. And you could say that the fire behind those words is what's driving that energy. So if your fire is weak, you got an affirmation, you want wealth in your life, but but you're not feeling it. You're not putting that fire energy behind it, that passion behind it. Well, the universe is going to give you as much as your fire is. A little fire, a little change. A great fire, a much larger change. So. And you can't really, well, I don't know, some people say you can fake it, so, because the mind doesn't know, so, maybe you can fake that energy. I'm not only to a degree. I think it's more driven by the fire or the passion behind it. If your energy is so strong, and maybe you don't understand how it all works and everything, but your passion is so strong behind it, that well, the universe will work out the details for you. What's important is the fire and the heat of that fire that's behind all that. That's where the manifestation lies.
Exactly. It's the motivating factor basically to get us into action. Sometimes we don't know what action to take, or we're afraid to do that action, but when we get passionate enough and we feel it strong enough, emotionally enough, then we really feel like, okay, now I know what I should do. There's things I can do to help this process, and it helps get things done. And of course, when something gets burned and the fire's in people's past right now, there's 2 towns north of here that have been completely evacuated. And yeah, that fire created a lot of action. It's creating a lot of havoc and a lot of change, but maybe it's change that people need. Maybe it's change to make them think about what's more important in their life right now. And we have to look forward to the positive that can come out of all of this fire energy that's going on. And time for your card too.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So this is from your class you created a while back.
No, I thought you were going to tell.
No,
You'll get your perspective on the class. Yeah, well, I've actually been involved with rainbow teaching since the early '80s. My mentor introduced me in a very strong way, and kind of put me at the advanced level right in the very first years. And here am I, just in my early 20s now, in my early 60s. So this has been a lifelong pursuit of understanding the rainbow on many different levels. And these cards are a reflection of a class, Rainbow Bridge class, that I taught back in the 90s. So today's message is very short, or statement, actually just 2 words. Matter of perspective, maybe more. It says, that's backwards, so you're not going to read it. It says, God's sign in nature. So the way I like to look at that is the rainbow is God's sign in nature, or also when you break apart the word sign in nature, it's also the word signature. So God, or universal mind, or universal intelligence, or call it what you want, it all pretty much means the same thing, as long as you're including an all-encompassing thing as opposed to a very limited focus on what God might be. I don't believe in a limited God or universal source by any stretch, but when it comes to the rainbow, it does do a very good process in describing what the nature of God is about. It can talk about the divine geometry, the building blocks of the universe. It can talk about how color is prevalent throughout the universe, but not just color, but the order of color. And so the rainbow equation, which is just pictured right there behind me, we've talked about that quite a bit on this show. is a description of the rainbow, in essence, the signature of the great universal mind. In essence, it's the little book, which is the description of the big book, or God in this case. So the rainbow does an excellent job of awakening minds, bringing us to a higher platform and understanding. It's a lot more than just a pretty object in the sky. It's the great connector between all the dots of reality. So I encourage you to delve deep into the rainbow teachings. There's a ton of teachings there, and in essence it is the signature of God, and in so many different levels. It's just a matter of opening your eyes and seeing the rainbow.
That's beautiful. I like that wordplay with the word signature. There's so many of those things that happen. Our language almost seems like it could be random, but it's really not. There's just so much meaning in so many words. Like now, here, and nowhere. That word is amazing. There's so many words like that when you kind of break them down and see them, you think, wow, that can't be an accident. That just has too much meaning in it. And so nature is wonderful, and the rainbow is one of her beautiful messages and signs in nature, as you said, as signature. But there's so many other signs in nature as well. There's atom totems. There is, weather. There's wind. There's so many things. And when you get connected and go out in nature and you get connected to that energy, you start to just know things. And the more connected you are, you start to realize that you can get messages from the wind. You can get messages from trees. You can get messages from Mother Earth herself. And you can get connected to that weather patterns where, I've been outside and just could feel it's going to rain. And it's going to rain, and I know it maybe 10 to 20 minutes before it happens. And I think that humans have lost that ability a lot because we don't pay enough attention to it. We go out in nature and spend more time there. I think we can get that back, but it's really a matter of having that solitude and alone time and really connecting and listening and seeing what you can learn from the earth and the environment, the natural environment around us.
Well, we do the best that we can. Let's see much comments going on our screen here, so we're going a little slower. Actually, it's feeling a little more dizzy today, perhaps tired and ascension symptoms going on. So, doing the best I can with this presentation, and of course your listener supports always helps. I don't think you've said too much about your book or your teachings today.
No, I haven't yet. If anybody has any questions out there about a near-death experience or the other side, past lives, past life regression, those are things that I talk about a lot in my book. My book's really about my near-death experience when I was young, 4 years old, but it also takes that journey through the rest of my life, and what I learned from that experience really stuck with me and became part of my life. And we all have a plan. I learned from this experience that we have a plan that we set out to accomplish during this lifetime. We chose a lot of things. We chose a lot of things before we got here. We chose our parents, perhaps. We chose some of, our partner. Maybe we knew our children were coming in at a certain time, that kind of thing, people close to us. But we also left a lot of things along the way that we are going to decide as well. So I've learned so many things about that. I've had memories of planning this lifetime. I have memories of what I called in my book the viewing room, where I was shown previews of certain things that were going to happen. Of course, when I got here, that kind of got pushed back into the subconscious very deeply and didn't remember. But when certain things triggered it, it came up, some of the events that I saw in my preview, I started remembering. I started remembering planning this life. I started remembering, oh, yeah, that is supposed to happen. That was part of this whole scheme of my life that was going to take place. And it really helped make sense of some of the things I was going through. The past life really helped make sense of things I was going through. Relationships in this life were very much explained by what happened in the past. We kind of have a soul group we travel with, and they keep coming up in different capacities in your present day life. You probably know several of people in your past lives, and you know they're not the same people they were in the past, but often those feelings are left over from what happened in the past, and it really helps explain a lot of the things that you're going through with them now. You know, it's very interesting to see people experience that regression for themselves, and to see what happened in their past, and make those connections, and it's really eye-opening and really helps people have peace of mind in their present day life.
Well, I find that the personalities will continue. That the physical body, of course, will change a little bit as we move from lifetime to lifetime, though not necessarily the case. And I think of a number of celebrities that well, I'm just thinking of one. His name's not coming to me right now. The Edgar Casey guy. You know, he looked pretty much the same as Edgar Casey as he does in this life. Am I thinking of?
Oh, David Wilcock.
Yeah, David Wilcox. He pretty much looked the same. So, but I think more importantly with that is that, you know, maybe the body will change lifetime after lifetime, but a lot of times the personality, not so much. With David Wilcox, he's pretty much the same personality as he was as Edgar Casey, and other personalities that come in. I can think of a few of my past lives, and though the body was different a little bit, I think the personality by and large was a lot of the same thing. You know, we're still the same soul. You know, we've been around for thousands of years, in some cases tens of thousands or even millions of years, and so that soul will grow in consciousness and so forth, but essentially it's the same soul that continues to progress through the eons of time. So you may not, I'm thinking of like your brother, for instance. You know, he was a slave trader or something, or a slave something, I don't know.
Right, in one lifetime, yes.
In lifetime, and here it comes in this lifetime. He's still a bit of a pill and a bit of a hard ass. I don't feel that his personality really shifted a whole lot, even though that was 2-3 lifetimes ago. He's still essentially the same person.
It is interesting, because even when I saw my own past lives, as the work I do now as a light worker, I saw that in a lot of my past lives, I did a lot of the same things. I was, you know, what they call the maverick, the one that was breaking the rules and going outside the box, being burned as a witch, etc., etc. So I've been doing this a long time, and I think we see those patterns when we see our past lives. We go, oh my God, I've been doing this for hundreds of years, and you know, and nothing's really changed. The time and the scenery and the you know, the circumstances, the year number has changed, but you're still doing a lot of the same things that you did, and are working with those same energies, or those same goals that you have to help improve the earth. And a lot of people do that over and over and over again, and the people keep coming around and giving us new opportunities to experience love in a new way for that person, or a relationship in a new way to that same person. And it's a really interesting cycle, and I mean, it's all our choice. We do have time on the other side between lives. We don't have to come back here. It's all left up to us, and the journey never ends. I like to look at it as a never-ending story. I call it, we're all kind of living the never-ending story, because what we make of it is our own choice, and it's all happens for the excitement and the journey. It's not the destination so much as the journey itself and the experience itself. I think Neil Donald Walsh said it best when he said, when God has the choice of just knowing things, which we all have the knowledge within us, or experiencing it, God will choose experience every time, because experience is just so much better and more fun.
Well, I got to put it into the 3D type of thing. I was just thinking of like group souls that travel around with us. A lot of times we will find out that we knew a large number of our associates, whether they're friends or family, from other lifetimes, and they continue to circle around. We might have ended up on different ends of the planet, but one way or the other, they can find their way back to us. Perhaps that's a little more rare. A lot of times they just end up in your same geographical region, or even right back in your family where they started before. So, you know, that this is because of the energy that we hold, and the education and things that we need to learn in this lifetime, as they do as well. Over in the 5D side, it's very easy to travel and connect, just a matter of a thought away in most cases. So here in 3D, it's a little slower, but we still find a way to get together with our group souls, or our soulmates, or twin flames, etc. Are brought together in one way or the other, because energy attracts energy, and time and distance doesn't make as big a difference because of the nature of 5D, where there is no time and distance. So 5D is going to bring together our group soul members, our soulmates, or twin flames, whatever that looks like, our parents, our brothers and sisters. All of that is all energetically arranged on more of a ethereal level, a 5D level, and manifesting here in the 3D plane as we live lifetime after lifetime.
Well, the things that we planned in advance, for sure, like I've seen in the viewing room, those things are like set in stone. It's like, you can't avoid that happening. It's going to happen. But other things we do are left up to our own decisions here along the way. So I wanted to say too that often people have wondered, what is deja vu? What is this going somewhere and feeling like you've been there before, or that you've done something and you feel like you're doing it exactly the same as you did before. So what I realized was that I think the viewing room answered that question for me. I saw these previews before I came here to this life, and those previews were about certain things that were markers in this life that were going to happen, that I was shown. And when you're shown there, you're not just shown like a movie. You actually experience little clips of what it feels like at the time you're doing these things in this lifetime. So when we have deja vu, often it is because it triggers, when we get to that point in this lifetime, it triggers that memory. Oh, I've seen this before, I've done this before, because we previewed it before we got here. We were shown that. And there is no such thing as time, and that's why it's interesting that in the regressions that I do, I also can go sometimes with people into progressions, and they can see a glimpse of a little bit into the future. Now, some people have seen a few weeks in the future, some people have seen several years into the future. So it's all really left up to what their subconscious or spirit wants to show them. And so there really is no such thing as time. I did have a friend once see her, I think it was her daughter having another child, and it was a girl. And I remember she was telling me when she found out she was pregnant, she goes, "Oh, I hope it's a girl." And I said, "Well, didn't you just tell me in that, session we did that she was going to be a girl?" She goes, "Oh, yeah." And of course it turned out she was born a few months later, and absolutely was the girl that she saw. And this is how it works. We have no time limits when it comes to dealing with spirit and the etheric field. You know, it just doesn't exist.
What's a nice thing about the past life regressions? You know, we're talking about the connections into the these pop-ups keep coming on our screen here. We talk about our connections into our group souls and our families that we have in this lifetime. Well, a lot of times they do follow us around from other lifetimes. So tuning in on a superconscious level through a past life regression session will help a person understand why certain people are in your life, or whether they'll be a lover or perhaps an antagonist. You know, each person is placed in our life for different reasons, and you know, who's to say what the greater value is? One that torments us a little bit, or one that loves us a little bit too much. You know, everybody has their place. Angels come in many different forms, so. I think these sessions of yours can help move us beyond time, whether it's our past or progression, which will teach us about our future, because all of that energy is contained, already written in the stars, you might say, of where we're going to be in a number of years from now.
It's true. Yeah, I don't really study astrology that much. I do keep a little bit of an interest in the major alignments that are going on, etc. But as for following personal charts, I don't understand the language of that very well. But I was shown once, because I asked about it, how it all works. And of course everything works on from the micro to the macro scale. And when you look at astrology, it's the macro scale of looking down at the microscopic scale of our cells in our body, and the atom and different things. They all have that nucleus, that center, that spin, that rotation, that energy circulating as a vortex. Our DNA circles as a vortex. And the precession of the equinoxes is the same thing on the macro scale. So everything trickles down from that energetic level into manifestation, and those planets in that equinox procession is astrology, and those planets, where they are when we're born and where they are when we die, that is like the circle and the bubble of what contains each lifetime. That is a set piece of time, you might say, a picture of a snapshot of your life timeline. And that energy is written in the stars, as many prophets have said, as many poets have said. It's written in the stars, and that's what they mean by that. They showed me literally how it trickles down and how those alignments work and how they affect us from that giant scale where the planets are to what energy we are dealing with here on Earth, to how we're feeling inside. And it all works together, and it was quite fascinating, and I feel blessed that I was shown that, but it really makes sense. So, you know, there's people that think, well, you know, maybe astrology doesn't work. Yeah, it does work. It's part of the system. It's part of the all. It's part of the energetic movement of all that is, and there's no avoiding it. There's no getting away from it, and that's why I trust it. That's why I trust that this change has been scheduled. It's written in the stars. The earth is raising its vibration, and there's nothing anyone can do to stop it. So, you know, on that positive note, I feel optimistic. Who wouldn't feel optimistic when we have something so big working in our favor that it's just meant to be, and there's no getting around it.
How to tag on to that, just watching our audience. Oh, sorry, just popped up as I said that. Well, we'll see if we get any comments or questions. Please introduce yourself, loyal viewer there, whoever you might be. And I think I can do another card here. I was just previewing a couple cards for subject matter.
Yeah, that would be great.
And I think we're down to about 10 minutes or so now, maybe a little bit more. And
wow, I can't believe how fast that goes.
Pretty good, I guess. Okay, creation of the universe from a single point, a quantum unit. So that's getting into some deep thoughts there right away. Anytime we start dealing with the nature of dimension and how the creation cycle happens, we're getting deep fast. The book, the Rainbow Connection, actually goes into quite a bit of detail about how creation happens, how dimensions flow into each other. We all endeavor to start at 0 point. That's our true meditation center. It's the center of the Mobius loop of an atom, let's say. It gets to the very center and then it expands out. That very center is the 0 point or zero dimension. But then we have other dimensions, and the first one is a single point, you might call it, which is a non-moving point, but it's the size of a quantum unit. A quantum unit is defined as the smallest measurable point. Everything that has dimension to it must be made of points, so it's defined as whatever that smallest point would look like, which is can be extremely small, but actually containing some movement. As soon as we get a movement in just a single direction, that's going to be our first dimension that we're dealing with. The second movement at a right angle to that is our second level, also known as 2D, and from that we produce planes of experience, or whether that's a circle or a triangle. These are planes, 2D dimensional, and if we take a square and move it at a right angle again, that suddenly we're in a three-dimensional world. So that's why a cube is so good at defining what the world looks like around us. We do dwell in three-dimensional bodies, therefore we do have height and width and breadth to us, and if these are at perfect right-hand angles to each other, as sacred geometry would dictate, that's going to be in the shape of a cube. In fact, in the prophecies, it talks about a cube city there, and it says, in fact, it was in the shape of a cube. So I think that teaches us a lot from a simple geometric perspective, that the cube is a foundational building block of the universe. You can take cubes and stack them together and have complete infilling of that space, because they'll completely form together and be building blocks to each other. That's a very quick synopsis. If you want the great detail, please visit my book. It reads a little bit like a textbook on some levels. And so if you'd like to learn more about dimensions and lines of intention, and how creation actually happens from the smallest to largest levels, guided by the rainbow and sacred geometry, the Rainbow Connection book is a golden opportunity to learn deeply about the great mysteries of the universe.
Yeah, show me your book there and find it out.
Well, we haven't got to the credits yet, but
Well, you don't have to be at the credits.
but
David's book is wonderful and explains in, I think, very simplistic terms, as simple as you can get with this subject, how the manifestation process works. And as you talk about it in geometry and the simplest of diagrams, it really helps one wrap their brain around it and make it so we do understand what is happening. So, yeah.
well, this is not my book, even though I did channel it.
Okay.
The Rainbow Connection, Gen Z and the Universal Language of Light. So, my mentor who brought the rainbow equation into being back in the late 60s and 70s, had a great knowledge, but he didn't claim that it was his rainbow or his geometric statement. That the whole rainbow is directed by nature, and it's just a simple process of following it upon geometric shapes. So one of my pet peeves is to call it mine, even though I certainly have put in tens
Well,
of thousands of
it's-
hours on this subject
It's
into this
your
book.
rendition of the work in this book. You know, you did the work on it, so it is partly yours, even though the information is universal. You know, it's just like we work with the energy. It's not our energy, it's the universal energy, but we all have our own story created out of that because we had that little part to play in it with our own free will choices. So amazing.
And there you have it. So I just checked my clock. We're down to 9 minutes, and our comments are not flying off the charts today. I think you've got more text messages than anything. They keep
All of a
popping
sudden,
up on our
that's so
screen,
funny.
but not so much from our listening audience here.
Wow.
So pardon our pause while we find another subject to flow into. I just been directed to say something about earth changes at this time. Not sure what that means right now. I think you know, we're getting the mask off around the earth is creating an awakening for people. And I almost want to feel a certain lackadaisialness about it. You know, they got through that, and there's been some awakening that has taken place, but people are starting to slip back into a bit of brainwashing again, and feeling that this is the new norm. You know, the mask had come off, but now they're pushing the vaccines. So I'm not sure where that next awakening is going to take place. Many warnings are out there that this is an extremely dangerous vaccine, and you know, death is impending for tens of thousands, if not millions, of people that have subjected this to themselves. So hopefully these reports are wrong. There's quite a bit of science behind that. So I know that the Earth is going through a major awakening right now. So if you think about 18 months of masking was all it took to wake the Earth up, well, I think that's not going to be the case. There's going to be a lot more drama being created by the Illuminati. They got the big bucks. They got the resources to keep the brainwashing up in a really intense way, and but at the same time, consciousness, the new age is awakening, you know, 10,000 times as fast. So there'll be a lot of tricks and gimmicks being played upon us, and really these are just to awaken people that are been asleep for so long. They need the tricks and gimmicks to realize, well, that they're all full of shit, and we need to just you know, drop public media and state-run media, drop all of these old systems, because they're doing nothing but death and destruction by and large, as we move into a more grander system that will be led by the Rainbow Children, who really know what the true light and the true power is all about.
It's true. I think the best thing you can do for yourself is not to watch what I like to call mainstream media. I do feel like slowly there is truth coming out even there, finally. People have finally started questioning the popular narratives that have been going on for the last year and a half. But that's too slow. So, I mean, I think it's great that it's leaking some stuff out finally, but that's not the quickest way. I think the quickest way is to turn it off. If something's important, you're going to hear about it. And you can find alternatives out there. It's very easy to find. All you need to do is go online and look for alternative sources where you're going to find probably the real things that are going on, although I think there's a lot going on behind the scenes and things we aren't going to know about until they've been completed, things that are happening for the good of everyone. And this truth is going to come out, and it's not going to be, I predict, definitely by the end of the year. We're going to hear about things we never thought possible, and yeah, the new age will really be at its beginning when the truth comes out and people are made aware of the things that we've been lied to about, the things that have been hidden from us, the new technology, the patents that are out there, the med beds. galactic things that have happened. Our space family is part of this world and has been helping us. Well, most of them have been helping us. There's some that may not have been. But we will get to know the truth. We will be told the things that we haven't heard about or have been hidden from us. There will be cars that don't need gasoline. There will be free energy. There will be all kinds of things that will improve our world. And not only that, consciousness will raise, and I believe at some point we do get beyond these sicknesses and things where we won't be worried about any viruses because our vibration will be far too high to be worried about any 3D virus that could possibly affect us. It just won't happen, and that's where we're headed. So I'm totally positive about the future, and I think it's really about faith and knowing that this is an infinite universe. Nothing's impossible, and so don't feel that there's any doom anywhere, and there's always an answer for every question.
Well, on that positive note, I think we're down to about 3 minutes left into our show, a quick show, and hopefully we kept it a little interesting today. We can do our credits now. You want to do yours first? Or mine?
Okay, I'll do mine first. This is my book, There is Love, My Near-Death Experience and Beyond. And this goes from 4 years to over 50 of my spiritual journey and what the other side has taught me. And this is my CD, Love Will Find a Way. And this is 8 channeled songs that I've written, guided from spirit, and the music as well as the lyrics. And I hope that you can enjoy that song. It is on YouTube. So my book is on Amazon, and you can find all those links at mysticmuseonline.com.
Okay, well, we've already talked about my book, 40 Years in the Making, the world's premier book on rainbowology, everything and anything you've ever wanted to know about rainbows, and a lot of extra stuff, creation cycles, dimensions, time, etc. So a very good book to get in touch with, The Rainbow Connection. You can search that on Amazon under David Shepard Love if you don't remember the title. My other books will be listed there as well. Love Illuminations, 150 powerful affirmations to start your day with, written when I was in the ashram, my highest and best thought for the day. The Wizard of Oz, a children's book. Journey into the Rainbow Self, a very fun book, but very deep, like most of the stuff that I write. And so please visit my page on Amazon and order up. Somebody's walking by. And our shop's here at 365 Main Street in Camp Verde, Arizona, just 30 miles from Sedona. So if you want to detour into the Verde Valley, please give us a visit. We're at the Main Street Studios. We're located in the back. Lots of retail services and mystical things, readings, psychic messages, etc. So please join us. I think that's about it for our time. I won't keep going.
Okay, so, and thank you everyone for joining us, and until next week, we'll see you on Friday.
That's good.